So we are just getting the voices from the field guys sat down and ready. We all good?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So thank you, everyone that's tuned in to listen to us today. It's very exciting. We have Sibtain here from Pakistan and Mani here from Nepal. So do you guys want to introduce yourselves and explain who you are and what you do?
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Mani Karmachari, full name. I live in Nepal. I was born in Kathmandu, and then I'm working with WaterAid. I'm working for WaterAid for last 7 years. This is my 7th year running, and we have a great program called Voices from the Field, and I belong to that program, where I get chance to go to different project sites, to tell you the stories, in the form of photo and films. That's what I do mainly.
Hi everyone, I'm Sibtain, and I'm from Pakistan. So I'm based in Islamabad in Pakistan, and as Mani said, I'm the Voices from the Field officer from Pakistan, and as Mani said, we go to the field, we meet communities, we talk to them about their lives, to learn about their challenges that they face because of lack of access to clean water, and if there has been any impact on their lives with access to clean water and decent toilets. So yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. Just to add on that, like Sibtain said, we tell our stories. Actually, we live there. We live life with their stories, because we follow them, and we spend a lot of time to know how they live and what do they do. So
yeah,
we not only tell the stories, but we see and we live with them. Tell the good stories.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So could you tell us about a project that you've visited recently that has made an impact on you personally? Would be interesting to share with supporters.
Yeah. Recently I visited the Sindh province of Pakistan, which is in the south. So often when I visit, I also ask people, I see the pre-intervention scenarios as well, where they do the collect water from, how long does it take, and usually from what I've seen, a journey to a water point usually takes like an hour of walk, and they have to do it multiple times in a day, usually 2 to 3 times, and which means they lose like 3 hours in a day. And it is often women who find themselves responsible for fetching water because men are often working in the fields. So in this particular village I visited in Tata, so I met women, and then things had changed for them. Now they could, all they had to walk was just 10 to 15 steps to fetch water from the water pumps near their houses. So I asked them what do they do with the time that they've got now, along with other things. One of the main things that they told me they like doing is embroidery, and it's what they're good at. It's what they like doing, and it also earns them additional income. Yeah, so it's it's good. It's good. It was good for me to see that it's not just the access to clean water and decent toilets, but the spillover effects that it has on the lives of the people, and it's made them earn more for their families. So we had an exhibition in the United Nations last year where Victoria Villasana embroidered some photos, and I thought, we have some great talent in these areas that we work. Why not have these women do embroidery on their own photos? So I met 10 brilliant women, and we worked with them for. I took photos of them, and then each of them embroidered their own photos and came up with these brilliant, artistic photos. I actually have 2 of them with me right now.
They're stunning.
Yeah. So these are the actual photos with the embroidery on them. So this is just an exhibition of what people can do when they have access to clean water. This is another one. with washing hands.
Okay, this whole screen. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite projects from the from my recent visits. So yeah, it's just been nice for me to see how access to clean water increases productivity of people, and it's also an example to what I've read by the World Health Organization, that every dollar invested in water and toilets actually increases. It returns $4 in increased productivity. So I mean, I saw it firsthand in the community. Um, it's just, of course, one of the effects that access to clean water has on people's lives. There are lots more, and I guess Mani will talk more about his experience in Nepal.
Yeah, okay. Something like our colleague Sibtain has mentioned in our country, the project that we are doing, we're going to do in fact in one of the districts. We are hoping that lots of improvements is going to happen in terms of water science and hygiene. So it's a project in Doloka. That's a district where we are going to work, and this is around 133 kilometers far from Kathmandu. And the terrain is very mountainous, very hilly. The roads are very windy, curvy, and you feel like very dizzy sometimes if you are traveling, especially for the first time. And the roads are very narrow, very bumpy. So even if it's only 133 kilometers far, it would take around 6 hours, just an 6 hours drive. So we are working. Actually, we have started working. We're working in two rural municipalities called Sailung and Kalinchok, and these areas being hilly and mountainous, highly prone to disasters like landslides and this flooding as well. And drought also. Like drought means like the water source gets dried and flow is small during the dry season. So I got opportunity to visit this community in Sailung back in October 2018. So by then I got the opportunity to see like how life's like without water. Actually, to look at the landscape, it's very beautiful. To look at the picture, this green hills, the natural streams around, and then rivers flowing at the downstream. It's really great. But when you go inside and know this, the stories, the sad stories, and lack of water, that is something very sad. I felt, though it's very beautiful. So I met a few people there, and then their stories are really, I mean, not really good, in terms of water. So I met one man actually. I have a photo there. So can you help me get that photo? Sorry, the photo is here. Let me with the man. Oh yeah, this is the one. Thank you. Yeah, this is the one exactly. So see, you can see a beautiful photo with the natural stream, and his name is Latte. He is 46 years old, and this is his daily life actually. Every day he has to go to this water source. The stream is not the water source. Okay, the water source is a different one. So he goes to the water source, which is around 15 to 20 minutes far from his home, and every day he carries this water pot for multiple times. That is enough to do his daily work. And the interesting thing, he told me that he has two teenage boys. And then he asks these boys to get the water, and they are never happy to carry the water. And always there is kind of a dispute between father and son, like, oh, can you get me the water? Then no, I'm not getting water. It's so something they never like to do. And that's how he said, like, there is a disruption of the family harmony. Like he doesn't want to continue, and he is not really asking these boys to get water as far as possible. So it's only him and his wife collecting water every day, and the water he collects from these sources are not very clean, though it looks quite clean. So this is the kind of story that we get. And then I went to another lady. she was also around 40s, in her 40s, and I had to walk 2 hours to reach there, in our place. And she was also actually suffering from the. I mean, she has also had this water scarcity. That was even worse than this one. This man, uh, she collects water from the. She has this. How in the in the rainy season she collects the rainwater to do her daily work, and that was not very clean also. And she told me, and then I asked her, like, where do you go to collect the water? She said, it's just nearby. I mean, it's not that far in the rainy season because we have the water source just nearby. Then I wanted to see like how far that is. Then I followed her. I took some pictures. Sorry, I don't have that picture now. I followed her, and then it was very narrow path. It's steep also. I followed her for 15 minutes also around, to just to reach the water source, and the water source was not protected. She just collects that directly that from the natural stream, and when she comes back with a heavy gagri, we call that water pot. This is the gagri actually. Sorry, yeah, this is the same gagri. That woman also carries the same gagri full of water, around 19 or 20 liters and around 20 kg. But she, along with that gagri, she carries also other bottles also, so that she can get more water at a time. So while walking back, it was very steep, and it was with the camera, it was difficult for me to follow her, and you can imagine like how it is for her daily life, like every day she goes multiple times. And in the dry season, that particular water source gets dry. I mean, get dry, and then she has to go another water source, which is more far. I mean, even far, and that would, yeah, even further, yeah. And I can imagine like how difficult it would be for her to live her daily life, when she has to go even hours of far to get the water. I went to another lady also by the same time, and then she was her name was Lal Kumari, and she didn't have any children. Her husband is usually very sick. Very sick means like he was not able to carry those heavy garbage, so it was only her to go to collect water in these heavy pots. And she didn't have any children, so there was no any help to collect water. And her story was also similar to all the things. So to look at these, I feel really bad. The landscape was very beautiful, and all these things. Nepal is a beautiful country with mountain, but when in terms of daily life without water, it's really sad. So I'm hoping that with support of WaterAid, the project we are doing, we are going to improve their living when they get access to water, and they don't have to carry this heavy garbage anymore, and they will have more time to their own stuffs at their home. They can give more time to their farms, growing vegetables, and they can take care of the children, and there is a social harmony also with the families also. So with our project, we are hoping that these families, these people will improve their life with access to water, sanitation, and hygiene.
Amazing.
Yeah. And by the way, like when I visited, that was a situation. And then after a few months, my friend Sibtain was there when I had my injury in my knee, and then I couldn't go there. Then my friend Sibtain came over Nepal, and then he has his own experience. Like let's let's hear like what was your experience, Sibtain?
Yeah, it was very interesting for me because it's a totally different country with different culture, different landscape. So quite different with different weather, especially because in Pakistan, the places that we work in, that I visit like every month, they're one of the hottest areas in Pakistan, and with temperatures rising to 47, 48 degrees, it's really hot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I go there just for like 3 to 4 days, or sometimes more. But the people, they've been living their whole life in such extreme weathers with extreme challenges related to water, especially. So it was different for me, and this is the picture that I took in Nepal. As you can see, it's very beautiful again. And this is another picture from Pakistan. So apart from the size of the pictures, there are some differences in both of the scenes. The area is different. It's much greener in Nepal. The terrain is different. This is a flat area, and in Nepal we had a hilly area. But the thing that is common is the walk for water. But in Nepal's case, it's a trek for water, and it's even more difficult. I mean, yes, you have the weather. The weather is good, but you know it takes more energy to go up and down the hill. So it was an interesting and a different experience for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's so steep in that photograph. You can see just how steep she's having to carry the water up such an incline.
Yeah, exactly. And it was such a long way to the water point. And she told me, I met Devi, that's Devi. So she told me that the water source is different in different seasons. So in summers, you have to go to a different point. In winters, you know, maybe you have to go even further. So it was quite an interesting experience for me, and I'm really looking forward to the work that we will be doing in that community and the change that people will see in their lives.
Yeah, I mean, we're really hoping that with the project that we're doing with WaterAid will really help them access to water and their lives will be changed.
Well, as you were saying before, from your post-intervention work in Pakistan, you were able to see all of the changes that came about thanks to clean water. So, you know, it wasn't just that they had clean water to drink, but they were able to improve, like, more children were able to go to school, improved their food, they were able to grow more food, they were able to grow their incomes. I mean, the exponential benefits are so vast, and it's so wonderful to see that in a community. So I can imagine, you know, myself, I'm incredibly excited to see that happen in Nepal as well, and to think that these people will very shortly not have to make those incredible treks, incredibly long and difficult treks every single day just to find a source of water.
Yeah, not only the treks, you know, like when they get water near their home, they save the significant amount of time, which they can use for their new business opportunities. You know, they can give more time to their farm to raise their cattle. These some of the students also, some of the children, these kids, they go to collect water. They are saving their time and then can reach in school in time.
Yeah,
and also like I find it quite interesting. You know, I can link this with the social harmony as well. When the people in the village they queue up for the water, there lots of fights are there. You know, the disputes are there, arguments are there. You know, so sometimes one community member will throw their the kagri, that pot, to another. You know, so having water near their home means like they are maintaining the social harmony as well. There's a peace, you know, and then they don't have to really worry about all these things. That also keeps them in a very peace of mind that they can concentrate in their own work. You know, they can have enhanced life. We can see. That project.
And it's often not just the walk for water, but it's also the quality of water that they're getting.
Yeah.
It's often not safe. And it's often not clean because in Pakistan, so what people usually rely on in this particular period that I visited, what people usually rely on is surface water.
Yeah.
And of course, it's always safe. It's not always clean. But when they do not have an option, you can't do much. But so with our work, we make sure that the water that we are providing to the communities, it is tested.
Yeah.
It is tested in the labs, and if it's safe, only then we use that particular water source. Otherwise, we go to another one.
Exactly. In Nepal, in case of Nepal, to show the water quality, our water experts team are there. So what they do is after the project, they collect the sample from the intake with water source, and that is tested there. When it comes to the intake, from the intake to this reservoir tank, at that level also it is tested whether there is any contaminated or not. And from there, in water tank to water tap, when it comes at home, at that place also, from the water tap also the water is tested, so that we can make sure that the water they are getting from the tap is drinkable, clean, and then this is free from all these contaminations. So we make sure that.
Yeah, absolutely. So important. Well, thank you for sharing those stories. That was incredible to hear about. And I think we've got some questions that we're going to take. So I've got a few supporters have asked about the impact of clean water on women and girls. And I know you have touched on this already, but could you maybe give another example of kind of what you've seen and maybe some reflections on why it is you think that the burden falls more heavily on women and girls?
Yeah, as I previously said, so it's often women who find themselves responsible for fetching water, but which is because mostly men are busy farming. So the communities that we work in are, they really need to work hard in order to earn a living. And most of them, what they do is labor work in the fields, and some of them are farmers. So the men are usually busy in the fields, and it's at home, women have to do this really difficult task of fetching water. But in some cases, it is young girls who can who are either late for school, or they cannot even go to school because and in some cases the schools even do not have toilets or clean water. So most of the girls drop out of school even because of that. So but when they have access to clean water at home, in schools, toilets, women are able, especially the young girls, is able to go to schools, and which of course will make their future brighter.
Something similar to Sibtain has just mentioned. In Nepal is a vastly patriarchal society, like male-dominated society, and then women are regarded as mostly taking care of the households, children, and it's mostly the women. But also, like in some cases, like this, I have shown one photo where the man is carrying the water. There are cases where men also go to carry water to help their families, but in general, it is the women like who takes care of the family, cooking and all household chores and all these things. So it is seen that mostly the women they are more worried about water. And in fact, when we do the projects, it's mostly the women are more interested. Like okay, when we are how we are getting water, they are the one who are more active. So it's not only women, but in the case of Nepal, but less men, but more women, of course, carrying water.
Yeah.
And access to it actually helps women empowerment.
Of course,
They're able to do what they want to do. So yeah, that's what I've seen in the
really helping to balance the kind of gender. That's what I'm looking for. yeah, exactly, gender roles, and ensure that we are working with reaching people that are disproportionately affected, like women and girls. And it's to see girls being able to go and get an education, and kind of, I've heard you talk previously about how often you'll see a reduction in rates of child marriage because women are able to, girls are able to prolong their schooling. I mean, it's incredible to see that. It really is. So let me have a little look for another question we've got here. So some supporters were interested in how systems are sustained and managed. Have you got any examples that you would be able to share of that?
Okay, it's about the sustainability, right?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. It's easy to start and it's easy to end, but the main thing is that how it lasts longer, right? So in Nepal, in our projects, when we intervene any projects, it is actually aligned with the government authorities in the community. And then there are actually the group of people who are selected by the communities itself, and they are called water sanitation and hygiene users committees. They are the selected members. In the selected members, the women are also part of this leadership. The women has to be there. That's a rule there. Around 30% of the women has to be there, and these are the group that are trained, to manage all the water systems, and they also have to mobilize all the committee members for the work. And when the water starts flowing from the tap, these committee members decide like how much tariff is to collect, so that if there is any problem or if there is any error or some kind of problem in the system, then they can hire the caretaker or the plumber, we call, right, plumber, and then they can go to the households and maintain all these repairs and all these things. And also there will be a maintenance and repair and maintenance fund, which they have to do that, and the training will be given so that they can manage well. So this way, after we exit from the project, these communities are the owner of that whole system, so that they can take forward this for longer term. and that's how we ensure that these are owned by this community for them and for the betterment of these people, and it's carried away by that.
Brilliant.
That's what we do.
Do you find that it's often difficult to get people to open up when you're going into new communities? Is that something that you find when you're
like open up things like
so for example the women, so when you're going to a new community and you're meeting with a group of women, do you find that there's sometimes reluctance to open up and share with you, or do you find that people are relatively open to kind of discussing those issues?
When it comes to water, they are the one who are suffering the most, right? So when I go to the places where there is water scarcity and I want to talk about the water scarcity, then they are more open to talk about these things because they in that way, we are also giving them the expectation like, okay, something is going to happen here, So in terms of water, if there's a scarcity, and these women are mostly, I find, very welcoming, and they are quite open to talk about it. They want to show, okay, this is the place where I collect water, or all these things. They're quite open. I have not seen any reluctance in terms of talking about the water, actually in Nepal.
Yeah, same is the case in Pakistan as well, because and one of the reasons is because we work through local partners, so they know the community, they have the report because they visit them quite often. So people are actually most of the times quite open. They open up really easily. So I don't remember if I've experienced any difficulties.
And do you find that sometimes, I could imagine that you might have to talk about things sensitively? So if you're talking with women about the impact or the lack of clean water and the impact it has on, for example, managing periods, do you find that they're able to talk to you about that, or is that sometimes an area where it could be a bit more challenging?
Well, about water and these daily things, it's easy to talk. But in Nepal, especially in the rural areas, if we want to talk about the menstruation, that is a bit tricky situation.
I can imagine,
because menstruation is something that is deeply rooted with the religious belief and social beliefs as well, and there are lots of social taboos as well. So you have to be extra sensitive, how to start talk. So generally, when I go to go to our project areas where we are working on the menstrual hygiene management, then generally we don't link these social taboos with the religious beliefs and all these things, but we want to make sure that we are working to improve their health, these girls' health, so that they are not they can go to school in time, or they can be more healthy. So that's how we have to link our topic with the menstruation, not exactly with the religious belief or social belief. So it takes a little bit of more time to link this particular topic in the communities. Maybe in Pakistan it's different.
Yeah, it's tricky in Pakistan as well. I wouldn't start up talking about that. It's usually if we have to talk about such topic, it's usually my colleague Aisha accompanying me. So that we women are more comfortable in talking about that. But otherwise, water and sanitation, everyone is open.
Only man. I'm a man, and then I'm going to these young girls and talking about menstruation. That is not.
It's challenging.
Instantly going to happen.
No.
It's challenging. You have to have some kind of lady colleague with me, or maybe some our partner staffs, and you need to have a very strong vision, like, okay, why we are going to talk about that and what we are doing.
Because we really need to be careful and sensitive to the culture, to the local culture, and we don't really we never want to offend anyone.
Of course not.
So we're really careful with what we do.
Water is a topic that any can understand very well. Okay, when we're talking water, that can be solved. Maybe we are just giving them, we're just helping them to improve their life. But why talking about menstruation? Okay, what are they going to do? These guys are, why they are talking, what they are going to do. It's a bit difficult to make relation with the water and menstrual hygiene. It takes a little bit more time.
I've seen, I think WaterAid has been doing some projects relating to that topic by giving girls cameras to kind of document and have girls within communities go and talk to other girls and to share their stories through photographs. I can imagine that that's a really successful way of helping to kind of get women and girls to kind of take it, like own that, and to spread the message and to make it less of a taboo. And I can imagine that kind of, as you're talking about those sensitivities, that's quite a clever way of promoting.
Yeah, exactly. The one that you said, like in 2016, we started this photo project. We call it Participative Photography Workshop. We selected the young girls from the school, around 7 girls. And as I said, like the communities, they are not really open to talk about the menstruation and then what they do or what they don't do. You know, they're not really open. So what we thought was, instead of asking them directly, like, how are you managing menstruation? Why not we get their own stories from their own perspective?
Yeah.
So we get this idea, like, why not we give them the camera, and then we orient them about the photography and the storytelling. So the situation, the environment was enabling in such a way that whatever they were not able to talk to their parents or to the communities, they were able to bring through the photography. You know, and that was really something. You know, what do you say? I mean, eye-opening to the family members, to the community, and to the school as well. So when the girls came up with the stories, like, okay, when there was no toilet, or the toilet which is not really good, which is not girl-friendly, they took the photos of the toilet and showing in the school, like, the toilet we have is not really good, and then this is what we are going through. And also in the home, when they are kept separated, you know, when they can't do certain things, like they cannot go to here, they can go to the kitchen, they cannot touch the tap, something like that. They came up with the stories like, okay, this is not good, this is not a good practice, you know. And after 1 year, when we went back, you know, I witnessed that there are changes.
Did you witness some real change as a result of that?
Exactly.
Incredible.
Just
That's
because
wonderful.
of the photos, and they could express through the stories that the situation had started changing. That was really incredible. I've seen.
Now, talking of incredible moments that you've seen, and as I'm sure there have been many, is there any one? I mean, it would be difficult. I'm sure difficult for you to pick one, but is there any one that sticks out in your mind as being particularly special, or that you'd like to share with people listening today?
Yeah, I actually met. So a year ago, I went to school in one of the areas, which so it's a school of 300 students, and before there was only one toilet for 300 students, and there was no separate one for girls. But so with so what we did was to build a separate toilet for girls. And now, of course, there are more toilets. You know, it just doesn't take them too long to be in a queue for a toilet. And I met this incredible, brilliant girl, Urusa. And yeah, she's actually one of my favorites.
Yeah.
The favorite.
The favorite.
Yeah. And
sometimes someone touches, you know, and you're just like, yes.
Yeah, and she was brilliant, and she told me that she wants to become a scientist.
Good.
Why? Because she said she wants to help people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just stories like these that really touch your heart sometimes.
Yeah.
And I really hope for Urusa to become a scientist one day.
Of course. And do you think that the sanitation infrastructure that was developed there had played that big part in terms of?
Of course. I mean, yeah, it saves times. It helps girls have more confidence.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, they have a separate toilet of their own, and one of the good things that I've seen in the schools that we work is that often the key of the toilet is kept with the girls, so they can lock it when they leave the school. They can open it up so that they don't have to wait for anyone.
Yeah.
So this is one of the good moments.
Oh, thank you, Sibtain, for sharing that.
I don't have the picture actually. You know, the one change or the big impact, or what do you say? I mean, the result of this, the great work we do. I have seen. I was talking about the menstrual hygiene, this photography workshop. What I have seen was we did the photography workshop, and then we exhibited the photos with lots of issues. When we went back, I met a girl among those selected girls. So in the first year, she took one photo where what the situation was like. When they were having food in a family during the menstruation, she had to stay on the ground. So and
They
then
won't allow them to eat
no,
with
no, not
family
yeah,
or touch
yeah.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she took a photo from that angle, okay, where she can show that she is on the ground, and then her brother and her mother was eating at the table. So she took that photo and said that, see, during the menstruation, I need love from my parents, but instead of that, I'm kept separated, which I feel very bad. I'm unloved or something like that. That was a story, and that story was exhibited, and then her mother came and saw that photo, and I have that photo actually, not the printed one here, and saw that photo. And after 1 year, we went back, and now the situation has changed. She told me that her name was Bisesta. She is 16 years old now. She told me that the situation had changed. Now during the menstruation, she can eat food together with the family. That's such stories I have. Another also, like
Incredible.
another girl also told me, like, during the menstruation she cannot touch the male members.
Yeah.
I mean, but next time when we went after 1 year, she took a photo. She was playing with her. I mean, her brothers were playing, and she said that now the situation had changed. She can play with her brothers. She can just talk about all these things.
All of
That
those
kind of-
taboos have been broken down, and
Yeah,
through
at
that.
least not all over the society or community, but at least it has some spark is there.
Yeah.
Some
Sparks and
yeah,
change.
yeah, and then this is the beginning of the change. Maybe these girls, when they grow up, those social taboos, those religious beliefs, which is not really good, maybe that is broken, that started breaking. So that's what something I really want to share.
Incredible. Thank you. Incredible. Let me have a little look at more questions. So another question that was asked is, how do we choose or find the communities that we're working with?
Okay. This is something that we align with government. Whenever we work in the communities, we don't directly go to the communities. There are national statistics, and there are government bodies who look after all this water sanitation, hygiene. So they have these data, like which communities need water, which communities are poor in sanitation, or these kind of data are there. So when we align with the government bodies, they are the one who gives us the guidance, like, okay, maybe this community we have to work at that. So we have project agreement with the Social Welfare Council, we call it, and they actually suggest us, okay, maybe you have to work in this particular community, so that there are no duplications as well. There are many these charities, NGOs working in that field.
Yeah.
So when we align with the government, only we make sure that we are the only one there working there, and then maybe some other NGO can move other places.
Yeah.
So in line with these government authorities, and with the national statistics and the reports, or maybe some surveys done. That's how we choose the community and start working there.
And do you find that similar situation in Pakistan?
Yeah,
or?
it's similar, but it's often we also do our own baseline studies.
Mhm.
To if you want to know a particular thing about an area, and that's how we decide. I mean, the communities with the most need are, of course, selected first.
Let me see. Another person was interested in hearing about if you work in any maternity units. So maternity wards, hospitals, if there's work that we're doing in that context.
Well, in Nepal, we have a project where we are working with the health facilities, and we are helping them to improve the water sanitation and hygiene infrastructure, so that when these patients, when these pregnant women, they come for the delivery, or these patients come for the care, they will be cured properly. If there is no wash facilities, if there is no hygiene, how these health facilities or the health staffs are going to help them? So with this context, we are working in one of the districts where the health facilities. We are working in health facilities to improve their wash infrastructures, and we're not working in all. I think so. There will be one particular health facilities where we are working there, and then this will be influential for the government to do this, to replicate the same in other health facilities.
So the hope would be that you can kind of use that as an example that they could then scale up as an example of successful implementation of WASH in that healthcare setting. Yeah. So, have we got any more questions from the team, from the guys tuning in today? So, sanitation infrastructure and behaviour change practice. Did we not touch on that a little bit already?
I can give one example maybe in that one, like regarding sanitation infrastructure. It's a toilet, of course, and then behavior change. What happens is, like, usually when I go to our communities, if there are no toilets, it's very difficult actually in the beginning to convince them like to use the toilet.
Yeah.
Some of the old people, they might come say, like when we are going behind the bushes and then open places for so many ages, like who are you to change our behavior? We get a fresh air. Like if I sit inside somewhere and I feel so suffocated, and then I may not be able to do the things. It won't come. Something like that is there. So they're so reluctant to change in the beginning, but slowly we have. Gradually there will be there will sanitation awareness campaigns are there. We have our resource persons talking about all the sanitation, this awareness and the hygiene education, and there are lots of movement will go on over the period. So people will start changing their behavior. They will start making the toilets, but still there are some who are very reluctant. We'll also see those changes and we'll be able to replicate that, and then that's how it works.
Yeah.
Some are very reluctant, very rigid. They don't want to change their behavior. But when the community people starts changing, then they are also kind of forced. It's a chain effect that happens.
You find that often with that behaviour change, it often stems from the younger generation. So if you're doing hygiene awareness and behaviour change work with schools or with school-age children, do you find that that's often a key in terms of spreading that message amongst the village or community?
Very much. Young children or the students are the key, key point, to start change.
Yeah.
Sometimes mostly what we do is we have this child club in the school.
Yeah.
So child clubs are the selected members from the school, the students,
Mm-hmm.
and they are given the sanitation education and then hygiene education, and they go around the village and they tell their parents, okay, see, we need toilet.
Yeah.
The parents are the one who are a bit reluctant.
Yeah.
So if these children go to every houses and say that, okay, we need toilet, and then this is the benefit of this and that, it helps to change. And also there are cases, when this is actually for the open defecation free campaign.
Yeah.
Where if a certain ward or certain community wants to declare them as open defecation free zone, the students are the one to monitor all those activities. Like there is a whistle blowing kind of thing is also there. These child club members are given the whistle and they go around the village in the morning.
Yeah.
And if they see someone just trying to defecate in the open area, they'll blow the whistle.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes they will write their names in the public place, and these are the people who did the defecation or in the open area. So that kind of moments are also have also seen, like
Incredible.
So they are the key members, to start the change.
Yeah.
In terms of sanitation infrastructure in Pakistan, so in some of the areas that we work, it is a perception that building toilets is really expensive,
right?
And it's considered a luxury.
Mm-hmm.
And they think since it's too expensive, we cannot afford it, so they don't really build a toilet. So what we do is that we build a sample toilet for them,
Mm-hmm.
with the minimum amount possible, hiring a mason from the same community and buying the things locally. So building a toilet really, really cheap.
Yeah.
And then showing them that this is, you can build this, you can afford this. And then there's a committee set which then collects money from the community. The committee includes members from the community itself, no one from WaterAid, but the committee is trained. And then when they collect money for example, from 10 households, they go and buy the sanitation materials for them with cheapest price possible, and then they give the materials to them. And then after that, all they have to pay for is for the mason to build the toilet. Yeah. And once all of the households have one toilet at least.
Yeah.
they get a reward in the form of an additional water pump.
Okay, so it's incentivized, you know, if we can, to kind of embed the fact that water and sanitation need to go hand in hand in order to affect real change.
Exactly, and these committee members, whom we also call WASH advocates, go to the community, talk to every household, and try to persuade them to build a toilet and tell them that it's not really that expensive. You can afford it, and they do it. It does happen.
Yeah. Wow. So I've got another question here. I think probably this is the last one we've got time for. So somebody wanted to know how we could bring water and WaterAid to the attention of others, or how do you think we can bring water and WaterAid to the attention of others?
Others means like
the wider people that aren't aware of these issues.
I think the most powerful way of doing that would be sharing stories of people.
The real stories.
I'm sure you'll be able to find them on our Facebook, on our website. The stories that Mani and I and 5 of others we collect from the fields. I mean, it's stories are so important. As Mani said, it was basically a story that changed the life for that girl who was secluded during her menstruation. So I really think stories are really powerful, and if you tell them, if you tell stories to other people, share with them, it's really going to matter.
Yeah, and the way the people live here in London, it's so easy to access water. You just open the tap, and then there's water all the time. You don't have to worry about, it's not going to work, or like there's always water. You don't need to worry. But when it doesn't work in our country like that, there are extreme water crises, and that really affects in lots of perspective of the life. So we go there, and then we bring that stories, and then we tell the other world. So in that way, if these stories are, when people know these stories, if you can tell these stories from in different platforms, that would be one of the mediums to share the good work that we're doing. That will really spread the good message, I think, around the world. And people who wants to help us could help us, where there is a need.
And I will say, you do the most incredible job of putting, of giving us a real insight into these people, the people that we're working with, that we're, collaborating with. I feel like you bring it to life, certainly for me, and I hope for supporters as well. We feel so much closer to it, and I think it's absolutely vital in the work that we do in terms of helping us spread our message. So thank you, and thank you for sharing all of your insights today. It's been incredible. I hope everybody else has enjoyed hearing from these guys. It's a really special opportunity for us to have had them in the office and able to talk to you, and it's been a pleasure. So there is, I think there's a WaterAid trek to Nepal, which is happening next year, which is an opportunity for supporters to see the work firsthand, and to kind of see the beautiful country, of course, as well, but also to experience the terrain and see the work that we're doing. So if anybody is interested in hearing more about this, just contact us, and we can get back in touch with further details. I think it's going to be an incredible opportunity for supporters, and it will be kind of a trek and a fundraising opportunity to obviously further the work that we're doing. So thank you everybody for signing in today, and we'll hear from you soon.
Okay. Thank you everybody.
Bye.